started here. But before we kick things off, I have a special file I'm going to play on my laptop real quick to kind of set the mood and tone for what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, hello. Greetings, Reclaimers, and welcome to the Halo Anniversary panel at HaloFest 2011. Protocol requires that you take your seats so that the indexing may begin.
All right, so first off, once again, I want to welcome everyone to the kickoff of HaloFest at PAX Prime 2011. And for this first panel, we're going to be, talking about Halo Anniversary. You guys, we announced it at E3 this year. We're really excited to share that with everyone. Kind of kicking it off, if you were at San Diego Comic-Con or at home watching it on the internet, TV, whatever, you saw that we did a live demo of the Silent Cartographer in Halo Anniversary. So we thought we'd kind of kick things off right at the beginning with a demo of a brand new space in Halo Anniversary that you probably haven't seen before. So we're going to hand that off to Dennis and Dan Ayub.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming. So, quick introductions. My name's Dan Abe. I'm executive producer at 343. Down here, moving along to demo the lovely, the very talented Dennis Reese. Dennis is producer on Halo Anniversary, which is what we're here today to talk about. So before we get started, we definitely got some really cool stuff we want to show you guys. Few things. Big question we get a lot is, why are we doing this now? Well, November 15th is a very special day. Not just for Halo fans, but for the industry in general, because November 15th, 10 years ago, Halo 1 launched and changed gaming forever, right? I mean, I'm sure everybody here remembers the first time you played Halo. It was an amazing experience, and I promised David I wouldn't swear today, so I'll try not to drop any F-bombs, just a quick warning. But no promises, Ellis. It just might slip out. So it was a really freaking awesome experience, right? So, I mean, everyone remembers the first time they played it, and we wanted to do something special around that 10-year anniversary. But the real reason we're doing it is the fans, right? It's people like you is the reason that this franchise is here 10 years later. I mean, it's really incredible. So we wanted to do something special to commemorate that, because this is something the fan base has been asking for a really long time. Here's what we didn't want to do. I like to say it's the season of remakes right now, and what we didn't want to do is do an HD version, throw it in a box, and call it a day. We wanted to do something a little more special. We wanted to help capture that experience of what it was like to play this game for the first time, because, again, everybody remembers the first time they played it. It was a very special experience. So we wanted to do some things to capture that and help reignite that experience of what it was like to play this game for the first time. So what was really important for us was to exactly make sure the game played the same as it did 10 years ago. And one of the ways we did that is kind of a cool technical trick. We've actually layered portions of the original Halo code into the game. And on top of that, we layered a new graphics and audio engine. So what you get is really the best of both worlds. You've got a game that plays exactly as you remember, but it looks and sounds like a current generation title. So that's really cool. It was really important to us to make sure we got that. One of the other big things we've done that I'm personally most excited about with this game, probably heard a little bit about it, is Classic Mode. So for those of you who haven't heard about it, Classic Mode is a really cool feature. At any point in the game, you can hit the back button and the graphics flip back to how it looked 10 years ago. And you can come back and you can go back and forth as many times as you want. Really magical feature that I don't do justice to just talking about it, so let's look at it. So we're going to load up, we're going to get going. We're going to do something a little different than E3. E3, as David said, we showed Silent Cartographer, and we actually started in new mode and went to Classic. We're going to have some fun today. We're actually going to start in Classic mode. So we're going to start, and you're going to see how this level looked 10 years ago. While we're loading, quick word on multiplayer. 6 multiplayer maps, 1 firefight. We have 4 of those multiplayer maps and the firefight map playable over at the HaloFest area. Go check it out. So here it is. This is the 343 Guilty Spark 10 years ago. Whoa, lights, wrong way on the lights. I know I'm not an attractive guy, but we should get those lights down. So, all right, while we're waiting on the lights, we're just going to get going. So the first thing people comment on when they get playing and they put their hands on the controllers is, wow, this plays exactly the same as it did 10 years ago. It should. We're running exactly the same code, so the game plays, behaves, and reacts as it did. So I promised you guys some fun with classic mode. Let's have some fun. So this is it 10 years ago. Let's hit the back button. How does it look today? So this is it. This is what we got for you guys. So what we get is a lot of cool things, especially on a level like this where people can, had some issues, they got lost, things like that. We can use modern day level techniques to kind of light you and guide you on the path. What's cool about this classic mode, again, back and forth as many times as you want. You can be in combat, hit the back button, no stop. It just keeps right on going. So as Dennis starts fighting, we're going to pray he doesn't die in this demo and get really embarrassed. You're starting to hear some of the new audio. So we remastered the weapon effects, the sound effects. I'm sure you guys remember the classic orchestral stuff that was very important to the feel of this game. We worked with Skywalker Sound and their orchestra, and we just redid all of that audio. So the game just sounds spectacular. We're obviously not really getting a good feel for that here, but definitely get your hands on and check it out. Some of the other features we've been talking about, achievements. Finally gonna get achievements for playing Halo. So yeah, we're very happy about that. Co-op over live, another feature we've been talking about. It's funny, people tell me, man, I remember having to shove my TV in my car to go play co-op with my friends. Yeah, you don't need to do that anymore. Terminals is some other stuff we've been talking about. We're gonna come back to terminals because we're actually gonna show you guys an example of that later. So this is actually a great spot that Dennis is at. You're gonna find several points through the game that's like this, that just kind of looks really cool. And this is just a really fun point to say, hey, what did this look like 10 years ago? And say, yeah, things have changed quite a bit. This for me, I like to say this is like 10 years of gaming evolution at the touch of a button, because it's not just what Halo looked like 10 years ago. As game makers and game fans, this is how our industry has evolved over 10 years. So this is just really, really a magical experience for me. So let's see what else is coming back. Oh yeah, the Magnum's back. So everyone remembers this crazy overpowered weapon. It's still crazy, it's still overpowered. And we will have some more Magnum announcements to make over the next couple of days as well. So as Dennis starts having some fun with the Magnum, one of the announcements we made last night is 3D. We are going to have 3D support for Anniversary. Reason for that, people are investing in this technology. So if you've got a 3D TV, go out and play it. If you don't, you're not missing anything. The game is going to play, like all the features we have are intended to be supportive, right? And that was really core. A reason for the game was it needs to play the same as it did 10 years ago. So all of these features we have support it, but does not change that core gameplay in any way. So I talked a little bit about terminals. You guys may remember these things made their debut in Halo 3. It was a nice little Easter egg for people to find out some more about the universe and what was going on in the story. Primarily text on a screen. The idea was really cool, but we thought, hey, how can we make this a little different, a little more interesting? So we've taken a more graphical approach with terminals, because as storytellers, that allows us to really tell a more emotionally engaging story. So if we can switch to video 1, we are actually going to take a look at the first terminal in Halo Anniversary. That should be coming any moment now.
So judging by that, I'd say that went over pretty well. I do have a quick announcement that I was supposed to make earlier, but it's a little late probably for most of that. But we do request that if it possible, that we don't allow any filming of the panel. Like I said, that was a little late, so I did my due diligence and announced it. Apologize to everyone else for not saying that earlier. The terminal we just checked out there. Real quick, before we kick it off, I forgot to introduce everyone else on the panel. So my name is David Ellis. I'm content producer at 343. And joining me today, as already announced, Dennis Reese, producer on Halo Anniversary, and Dan Ayub, executive producer on Halo Anniversary. And these other two fine gentlemen in the middle is Frank O'Connor, franchise director at 343 Industries. And next to him is Mr. Kevin Grace. He's our franchise manager, also at 343 Industries. And so since we just checked out the terminal video, I'm actually going to ask Kevin a quick question. Can you talk a little bit about what we just saw? So kind of bringing it back to the campaign from the terminals a little bit. I had a question for Dan about specifically the entire project of Halo Anniversary. Can you talk a little bit about how it came about and what were some of the struggles of getting it off the ground?
Wow, you're just throwing me there right away. Okay, so I mean, this is a project. It's funny, we get the question a lot, when did the game development start? When did we start thinking about it? And it's really a hard question to answer because this is something we've been talking about for a really long time, and it just accelerated as the 10th anniversary grew closer. So, eventually we got to the point where, this is something the community had been asking for a really long time, and we were at the 10-year anniversary of the birth of this franchise. So it really just became clear we needed to do something very special. I mean, in terms of the struggles, obviously there were the technical challenges involved with like lacing two engines together. I mean, that was quite interesting from a technical standpoint to pull off. But we're happy that we were able to do it because what was really most important for us was to make sure we maintained that gameplay. And the other thing we got to was we wanted to release that original experience that existed 10 years ago, warts and all, right? I mean, we got to the point where like we weren't even going to correct the bugs because we wanted to make sure the gameplay was exactly the same as people remembered it being 10 years ago. So, I mean, that was definitely a big challenge. I mean, the other big challenge came from the fact that we did want to make sure that this wasn't just an HD remake. We wanted to come up with features that were compelling, that were going to make it fun, and then helped accelerate that emotional experience we were trying to drive from people of what was it like to play this game 10 years ago. I mean, and finally it occurred to us while we were making this game that there's really multiple audiences. There's like, if you're an older guy like me, you actually remember the time you played this for the first time 10 years ago. And I mean, on a personal level, I was a PC shooter player, and this game like just really changed it for me and just really made it clear that you could have a really cool shooter experience on console. But as we were developing it, it hit us like, if you're an 18-year-old gamer, you were 8 when this game came out, and after feeling really old for a while, we're like, well, how do we make this compelling? Yeah, you're way younger than me, Kevin. We're like, how do we make this compelling for that player as well? And that's where the new graphics kind of come in, because a lot of people jumped in at Halo 2, Halo 3, things like that, and just may have looked at these original graphics as a barrier to get into the game. And that's kind of where the new graphics kind of made it really cool, because you don't have that barrier to get into the game anymore, and you can experience that really special gameplay for the first time. So, I mean, it was definitely a challenging experience. I think it was definitely a labor of love for us as well. I mean, everything about this was we wanted to make this special, and we wanted to make this a celebration, right down to the price point, right? I mean, we've got it to at a $39 price point because we just really wanted to make this a big celebration. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, Dennis, anything you want to add to that?
I mean, personally, right when I first started on the project and people started to find out I'd be the producer, I suddenly got this influx of mails from all across the studio of, hey, do not change the game. Do not change the game. And for me, that was, I never planned on it, but just dealing with all of the people coming by my desk saying, oh, please, I got some great suggestions of other things you can do for achievements, of Easter eggs, and just all of the input and trying to sift through it and make sure that people understood that we were going to keep everything the same. We make sure that we paid as much respect to the game as possible while still trying to make it fun and just sort of, figuring out everyone to work with. That was a bit of a struggle at first, but it was fun.
I think Ellis sent a picture of Dennis's kids to him with a note that said, "Don't screw this up." So
yeah.
For the record, I make no apologies.
Yes, David Ellis, yes.
So one of the things we talked a little bit about, Dan, during the demo is that you were offering stereoscopic 3D support for Halo Anniversary. Obviously, we couldn't show it in 3D today on these projectors in this panel, but people will have opportunity to experience Halo Anniversary in 3D for themselves. Can you talk a little bit about how they will be able to check that out and where?
Yeah, so I mean, a quick word about the 3D. We showed that to some people behind closed doors at Gamescom. And I mean, just a word about that is when we decided we were going to do it, because again, this is technology that people have invested in. And if you've got a 3D TV, you're like, God damn, I want some content for this thing. But what does that count as swearing? Sorry, Ellis. I blew it. That did not take long.
That was a losing battle.
All right. So we decided if we were going to do it, we wanted to do something properly. And what a lot of people at Gamescom commented on is like, well, we've seen some other games running in 3D. Yours looks better. Why is that? And the reason is we didn't grab an off-the-shelf 3D solution like a lot of people do. We actually developed something ourselves that allowed us to tweak it, and the user can actually tweak the 3D settings themselves. So it actually pops a lot more than regular 3D. And if you head over to the HaloFest corner, or nook, or area, or section, or whatever we're calling it, we've got a 3D center where you're actually going to get a chance to check it out. And actually on Guilty Spark is actually a really good level for that, because you get some great, the foliage pops and the, plasmas flying by your head. It's actually a great place to check it out.
So we've showed a little bit of the campaign. The other aspect we talked a little bit about during the demo was multiplayer support for Halo Anniversary. So far, we've shown a couple of maps and announced that each map will come with 2 unique variants when the game ships. One will replicate the feel and flow of the original version, so Beaver Creek is going to look and play like Beaver Creek. But we've also included a new variants for each one that will have new spaces that weren't in the original map. We're including that to kind of take advantage of the entire Reach sandbox if you're playing just vanilla Reach. But if you want to play Classic, you can play the Classic version as well. So every single one of the multiplayer maps will ship with 2 different variants. And today we're going to show off some of the maps. Some of them are playable, as Dan mentioned, at HaloFest. But before we kind of kick this section off, we're going to show a quick behind-the-scenes video that's going to show off some of the maps and maybe some familiar spaces or two. So if we can just roll video 2.